Okay, in this video we're going to go over the Chapter 4 test review. So look at the first couple of problems. It's all about classifying. I asked you to classify it both by sides and by angles. Okay, so I didn't give you a word bank here because I want you to start looking these things up and kind of, understanding that you have to know some words eventually. I will give you a word bank on your test. So if I'm going to classify the first one by angles, so I guess let me do sides first. So by sides, nothing is marked. So all I can assume is that it's scalene. By angles, looking at that, I see I have an angle of 100 degrees. That makes it right away obtuse. Okay, look at the next one. If you classify it by sides, again, nothing is marked. It has to be assumed to be scalene. And then in terms of angles, I see I have that little box, and you should know that that little box means it's 90 degrees, and therefore it's a right angle. Okay, look at this next one. This next one, if I'm going to do it by sides, so by sides, not a problem, okay? I can say, oh, it's definitely isosceles because I have two equal sides marked here and here. In terms of by angles, what you really should do is solve for the missing angle. These add up to 150. Therefore, that has to be 30 degrees. If that's 30 degrees and the other two are 75 each, that makes classification by angles acute. Okay, but you really should solve for that missing angle before you make that assumption. Okay, look at this next one for number 2. Find the value of x, then find the measure of each angle. Okay, so I have a 2x plus an x. What's that going to equal? Well, if I know this is 90 already, then the remaining two angles have to also sum to 90. Divide by 3, x equals 30. Okay, so now they want us to find each angle. This angle will be 30 degrees, whereas this angle will be 60 degrees because it's 2x. Okie doke. Here comes another one. I could say, let's use the triangle sum theorem, which tells me that in every single triangle, all of the angles add up to 180. Okay, so I'm going to do my math here. That's going to be 5x equals 180. Subtract 55 from each side. Let me not put a line under there. Okay, so if I'm going to borrow, 10 minus 5 is 5. That became a 7. 7 minus 5 is 2, and the 1 comes down. So if 5x equals 125, divide both by 5, and you should be getting x equals 25, right? 5 times 5 is 25. Yep, x equals 25. Okay, they want each angle, though, so if you stop there, you're not going to have full credit. 2 times x, 2 times 25 gives me 50, and 3 times x, 3 times 25 gives me 75. So those are the angles. Okay, so this is the exterior angle theorem, and you have to know how to do this because on our quiz, we did not do as well as we should do. So look at this. What does the theorem tell us? Well, it tells us that here's my exterior, and here are my remote interior. So the exterior, which is an expression, 3x minus 22, equals the sum of the remote interior. Okay, notice there's no 180s involved. This is your setup. You've got to know how to do this. Okay, my goal now is to get numbers on one side and x's on the other. I'm going to move this x over. That's going to give me 2x minus 22 equals 80. I'm going to add 22 to each side. 2x equals 102. Divide by 2, x is going to be 51. Okay, so that's my first step. I am not done because look what they're saying. Find the measure of the exterior angle. So what does this equal? 3 times the 51 you just solved for minus 22. Okay, so 3 times the 51 is what? 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 5 is 15. Minus 22. I'll do this up here. 3 minus 2 is 1. 5 minus 2 is 3. Bring down the 1. So the exterior angle is going to equal 131 degrees. Why don't we just test our work? If I know that x was 51, then this is 51. What's 51 and 80? If I add these together, I will indeed get 131. And as long as we're having a good time here, can't you also solve for this angle? Because the exterior angle and that missing angle are a linear pair. So what is 180 minus 131? Well, if it was 180 minus 130, that'd be 50. So it's going to be 1 more than 50. Excuse me, 1 less than 50, which is 49 degrees. Okay, so you can solve for everything, and it's really good practice to do so. Okay, same type of problem. So you've got to know how to solve these exterior angle theorems. Again, I'm going to identify the exterior angles here. These angles right here and here are the remote interior because they're not right next to the exterior. Okay, so I know that 4x plus 8 equals 2x plus 3 plus 51. Okay, combine like terms over here. 3 and 51 make 54. And I have 4x plus 8. Okay, I'm going to subtract 2x. That gives me 2x plus 8 equals 54. Subtract 8. Okay, so do that work, and I'm going to get this 8's gone. So 2x equals 46. Divide by 2. X equals 23. Again, we are not done because they want to know what is the exterior angle. Plug it in for your x. 4 times 23 plus 8. Okay, 4 times 3 is 12. Then the 2 carry the 1. 4 times 2 is 8, and 1 is 9. Plus 8 more gives me 100 degrees. Okay, well that's interesting. So let's figure out if my angles are making sense. I'm going to plug in for everything. Okay, 2 times 23 plus 46. Sorry. Plus 3. Getting ahead of myself here. Okay, 2 times 23 is 46. Plus 3 is 49. Okay, what's 49 plus 51? Oh, that's definitely 100. So that checks. What's your missing angle right here? This right here has to be the supplement to the 100-degree exterior angle. It's going to be 80 degrees. You can solve for everything. So what did they ask us to solve for? Just the exterior. And so that answer I'll highlight for you. That was 100 here. And the exterior over here was 131. But solving for everything else is excellent practice. Okay, so this problem should just be fun because you can do all kinds of neat things with this. So let's start playing around. What do I know? Well, let's see. Could I figure out what angle 3 is right here? And I could because those are a linear pair. So 180 minus the 58 is going to give me 122. Okay, so let me just erase this. And I'm going to tell you that this angle right here is 122 degrees. Right here. Guess what angle 2 is? It's also 122 degrees because angle 2 and angle 3 are vertical angles. Okay, can you figure out angle 1? Well, 180 minus 22 minus 122 gives me a value of 36. So this angle is 36 degrees. Okay, what can I do for angle 4? Couldn't I say 122 plus 20, so 180 minus 20 degrees minus 122 gives me an angle right here of 38. Okay, what else do you know? Guess what? We can practice exterior angles, which I know you love. So here's an exterior angle. What is, where are the remote angles? The remote interior are here and here. What is 38 and 20? It is indeed 58. That's great. Okay, what else do I know? I know if that's 58, this is 58, and guess what? This, oops, sorry, I didn't want to do that. Let me get my highlighter. This is a remote angle, and these are, excuse me, that's the exterior angle, and these are the remote interior. What's 36 and 22? 58. Bingo. That also checks. Okay, so I have all my angles now. Let's come over here and actually answer the questions. Okay, so don't answer the questions until you've filled everything in. Angle 2 was 122. Angle 3 was also 122 because these guys are vertical angles. And angle 4 was 38 degrees. So we have all of the angles. So play around with that. Make sure you can get every single angle. Why not? You can do it because you have a lot of knowledge now about geometry. Okay, we don't tend to do well on these type of questions. So let's really go over and see what they're telling us. First off, you have this statement. What is that statement? That is a congruency statement. You have to recognize that and recognize what it's telling you. Okay, let's see if we can use that congruency statement to fill in some more values over on these two triangles before we even look at the questions. Okay, I know that angle T equals angle P. So if I look at my diagram, I can make angle P 73. Why do I know that? Because I was matching up the first angles. Okay, J equals H. Angle J and H are both undefined. I can't do anything with that yet. And then M equals S. Angle M and S are both going to be 48 degrees. Now look what's happening. I am missing one triangle, or one angle in the triangle. And I know because of the angle sum theorem that I have 180 degrees in every single one. So let's take 180 and subtract 73 and then subtract 48. When I do that, I get 59. So I now know that this top angle and this bottom angle here are both 59. Okay, look at the sides. We're going to do that next. Let me just erase my markings so far, and let's look at side markings. Look at the first pair. TJ has to equal PH. So TJ and PH. Oh, PH has a value. That means that this value has to be the same. Okay, let's go for the next pair. JM has to equal SH. HS, sorry. JM. So JM has no value here, and HS has no value either. So that's not going to help me. Okay, first and last. TM has no value equals PS. Oh, does have a value. So that means this guy has to be 5 centimeters. We know nothing about this length, and you can't assume anything. I know that those two lengths are equal to each other, but I have no idea what it is. Okay, now let's go and look at the question and see if we can answer them. Okay, this says angle P is congruent. So I want to know what angle is congruent to, and they're the first pairs. So angle T. Okay, line segment JM is congruent to what? JM is congruent to the last pair, HS, and I use my line segment symbol. Okay, look what's changing. Do you see how that's a congruency, that's a congruency? These are equal signs. When you have equal signs, you're looking for numbers, okay? And that's why this and this are asking for measures, which is a number. And because this guy has no markings, you're looking for the length, which is also a number. Okay, so these three, you have to get numbers because they're looking for what it's equal to, not what it's congruent to. Okay, the measure of angle M. Since I've already filled in everything, I know that that's 48 degrees. The measure of angle P, 73 degrees. I'm just reading my diagram. So I'm going to write here, fill in the diagram first. And how did I fill it in? I use my congruency statement. Okay, what's the length of MT? Up, already filled in, 5 centimeters. Okay, now this is interesting. They are identifying the triangle a little differently. It was PHS, now it's HPS. So they're reading the second one first. So what's the second here? J. Then they read the first one next. What's your first one for the first triangle? T. And then what's the only other letter left? M. That's how you build that. Okay? Then I could just verify. Does H have the same value as J? So angle H is 59, angle J is 59. That's good. Does angle P, which is the middle one here, have the same value as angle T? And they do. And does angle S have the same value as M? And it does. So I know I've written this correctly. Okay, so there's a way to check your work, which is very key. Okay, so now let's go, and we're going to write a congruency statement for the figure below. So first thing I'm going to do, mark this. This is my reflexive piece that's in common. So I'm going to label my top triangle, well, I'm just going to call it triangle DAB. So I went this way. So I went 1, 2. I've got to do the same thing for the bottom one. That's congruent to BCD. BCD, because I went 1, 2. Okay, remember to follow the path so that you identify these triangles correctly. Okay, next one. Same idea. These triangles have a common reflexive piece. Label it. Okay, so I know, how did you know that these guys are congruent? This was side, 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 and so is this, right? There's no angles involved. Okay, so I'm going to name my first triangle, the top one, TSR. So I went this way. I went 1, and then I went 2. Do the same thing for the bottom triangle. Go 1 and 2. So that's going to be TQR. 1 and 2. Okay? Looking at this one, what do I have? Oh, look. This is another side, side, side. And I'm going to label the first triangle ABC. So what did I do? I went 1 and 3. 1 and 3. I've got to do the same thing over here. So 1 and 3 is going to be FDE. Done. Okay. Find the value of X. Interesting. Well, look at the markings. Do you see you have a single hash mark here for the angle? That means that this angle has to be the same. It has the same markings. What do I know about the box? The box is 90. What do I know about angle F and angle D? They have to be what? Complementary. They're going to add up to 90 degrees because you need to have another 90 degrees left. So this is going to be 25 degrees. And I got that by saying 90 minus 65 equal 25 degrees. What else could I have done? I could have said 180 minus 90 is 90, minus 65 is 25, and be done there. Notice that angle A has to be the same. So this is also 25 degrees, and we are done. All right, look at this. Look at your markings. I am seeing that a single is 60. Singles are 60. I have a double over here. That's 70 because doubles are 70. So what is 60 degrees and 70 degrees? 60 and 60 is 120. That's 130. So that's 130. I have to have 180 inside. So I'm going to need to have a 50-degree angle up here. Okay, this 2x will also be 50. But to find x, I'm going to have to divide by 2, and x is 25. Okay, so again, use your markings. All right, find the measure of angle A. Okay, this entire thing is angle A. So you have some options. I think I'll just do the angle sum theorem, and I'm going to say 72 plus x plus 78, that's the top angle, plus 52 plus x, that's angle A, has to equal 180. Okay, add all your like terms together. I'm going to say 72 plus 78 plus 52. What's that going to equal? Those are going to be 202 degrees in angles. Now add your x's. I have an x here and an x here. So that's plus 2x equals 180. Okay, I want to get x by itself. Undo PEMDAS, and I'm going to subtract 202. So 180 minus 202 is going to give me negative 22. So 2x equals negative 22, divide by 2, and x equals negative 11. Okay, that's only part of our answer because they say find the measure of angle A. Okay, so angle A is going to be 52 minus 11. So I have to add a negative 11 to it. So that's going to be what? 41 degrees. Okay, once you find the top angle too, they didn't ask for it, but I'm just going to make sure I did everything correctly. So if you subtract 11 from 78, you should get 67. So is it true that 67 plus 72 plus 41, does that equal 180? So 7, 8, 9, 10, then the 0, carry the 1. 6 and 4 is 10, and 7, 17, and 1 is 18, checks. So check your work because you can do it and you'll find a mistake if you've made it. Okay, so the measure of angle A, which is what they asked us for, is going to be 41 degrees. So make sure in all your work you're giving them the answer to. Okay, look at this next one. I think for this one they want us to find x. I didn't really tell you that very clearly. So what do you think you're going to do to set this up? I think what I would do is I would say 180 minus 135. That's 5, that's 4, that's 45. Then I would say, okay, I still need 45 degrees inside that triangle. So 4x plus 5x must be 45 degrees. 9x has to be 45 degrees. Divide by 9, divide by 9. X is going to be 5. Find my missing angles. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 5 is 25. Is it true that 20 plus 25 plus 135, that should equal 180? 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1 checks. Okay, so if they asked us for x, that's my x. If they asked us for the angles, that's my angle. Oh, I guess they did ask me. I apologize. They're saying find measure A. So here's my answer. Okay, angle A equals 25. But I just checked it various ways so that I know that my answer is correct. Okay, back to exterior angle theorem. So I'm going to write that right here. Exterior angle theorem. The exterior angle equals the sum of the remote interiors. Set it up. Here's your exterior. Here's your remote interior, here and here. So negative 2 plus 18x equals the sum of 5x plus 5 plus 58. Add like terms on the right-hand side. So what's 58 plus 5? You should be saying 63. So that's 63 plus 5x on the left-hand side, negative 2 plus 18x. It looks like I should add 2. That gives me 65. Subtract 5x, subtract 5x. That, not 15x, 5x. Let me write that better. That is 13x equals 65. Divide by 13, divide by 13. And I believe x is going to equal 5. Okay, but they're asking me not to find x, but to find angle PFG. This is the exterior angle. What is that going to be? I just found that x is 5. Plug it in. So it's going to equal negative 2 plus 18 times 5. 5 times 8 is 40, then the 0 carry the 4. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 4 more is 9, plus a negative 2. That's going to equal a positive 88, and that is your exterior angle. Now you could go ahead and figure out what this missing angle H is, so I'll change my color. Angle H is going to be 5 times x, and what did we find out that x was? 5, so that's 25 plus 5 more is 30. So what do I know? Well, if the exterior angle is 88, then I can say 180 minus 88 and get its supplement, which is over here, which is 92. Now, is it true that 92 plus 30 plus the given angle of 58, does that equal 180? And yes, it does, and everything is checking out. So my answer that they wanted was the exterior angle, which is right here. But I was able to use my x, which was here, and find all the missing angles, which is excellent, excellent practice. Okay, next thing. Same problem type. Here's your exterior angle. Here's your remote interior. Okay, this one and this one. Okay, so set up your problem. 9 plus 11x, that's my exterior, equals the sum of my interior. So I have my remote interior, add like terms. That gives me 31 over here. 9 plus 11x equals 9x plus 31. What will I be doing? I think I'm going to move this over here. That gives me a 2x. 9 plus 2x equals 31. Minus 9 minus 9. 2x equals what? 31 minus 9 should be 22. That's going to get me x equals 11, which is good, but they want QGF. That's the exterior angle. So to get that, 9 plus 11 times 11, and 11 times 11 is 121, plus 9 equals 130. Okie doke. So my exterior angle is 130, and that's what they wanted me to solve. But I can play around a little bit. If that's 130, then that means its supplement right next to it has to be 50, because that's a linear pair. 50 and 30 is 80. I'm assuming that's going to be 100. Let's just check. 9 times 11 is 99 plus 1 is 100 degrees. It all checks. Okay, so I found what I needed to, but I also verified my work by plugging in and solving for other angles. Okay, here it says solve for x and y. What do I know? Well, I know that I can't solve for x and y simultaneously. The big tip off here are these equal sides. The second you see that, you know that these angles are your base angles, and the base angles of an isosceles triangle are equal. So 3x minus 11 equals 2x plus 11. Okay, I'm going to subtract 2x, subtract 2x, and that's going to give me x minus 11 equals 11. So add 11, and x equals 22. Okay, so that's nice. So if I know that, let's see if we can figure out what our base angles are. 2 times 11 plus 11. So that's 22 plus 11 more is 33. And let's just verify the other one's the same. Okay, so hold on a second. I did that incorrectly. Let me just go back and plug in the correct number. So hold the phone, because my x was not 11 but 22. So 2 times 22 plus 11. So that's 44 plus 11 is 55 degrees. Okay, let's check the other one. What's 3 times 22? So 3 times 22 minus 11, that's 66, minus 11 is 55. Okay, they check. So if the base angles are both 55, how many degrees do you have so far in that triangle? You actually have 110 right now. So that means that you know that this 2y has to equal 70 because you have 180 degrees inside the triangle. So y therefore has to be 35. And now we have both the values they asked for, x and y. Okay, and I mean, I'm going pretty quickly through this, but you can go slower by just hitting the stop button or rewinding it. Okay, don't feel you have to keep thinking at my speed of speaking. Okay, you can process at your own speed by hitting the stop button. Okay, what do we know here? Well, this is kind of a tricky question. This is 90. So what do I know here? I know that these two angles, when I add them together, they have to equal 90. So that I have 180 degrees inside. But what else do I know? Because these those angles I've circled are base angles, since I have an isosceles triangle, I know they have to be equal. So if they have to be equal, then that means divide that 90 by 2. This has to be 45 degrees, and so is this. Otherwise, it's not going to be consistent with an isosceles triangle. That allows me to solve for my x and my y. So x is going to be 15. And what's y going to be? Y plus 7 equals 45. Y equals 45 minus 7, which ends up being 38. Okay, so we've gotten our two answers. But I had to think through what I knew about isosceles triangles in order to get them. It's totally fine. Okay, let's keep going. Label the isosceles triangle to the right using base, leg, base angles, and vertex. Okay, so that's kind of fun. This is your vertex. This is your base. These are my base angles, and these are my legs. Make sure you can do that. Okay, then they go on to say, if angle K is 25 degrees, okay, so I'm going to change my color since now I'm going to fill in angles. If this is 25 degrees, don't you know that angle L is also 25 degrees because they are base angles of an isosceles and they have to be equal? Okay, so what else do I know? So far I have 25 and 25, that's 50. That means that my vertex angle has to be 130. Now, I know it doesn't look that way. Don't go by looks. Go by the math. Okay, so 25 and 25 is 50. And 50 from 180 is 130. So angle J is 130 degrees. And angle L is 25 degrees. And I would say that that triangle is not drawn to scale. And that's totally fine. Our math still works. Okay, so now we're going to do congruency statements. Then if I had the triangles of congruency, that if you cannot prove congruency, state not congruent. Okay, so I didn't have you label things. I'm going to label things, and we're going to write our statements, just so we can get practice. Okay, so looking at this first one, I can mark this as a reflexive side. So I can have side, excuse me, oh, I'm losing my head. That's not a side. I have angle, side, angle, and angle, side, angle. Okay, so I'm going to just label this so we can practice. A, B, C, D. Okay, so if I name the first triangle, triangle ABC, what did I do? I went from double to no markings. So double to no markings to single. I've got to do the same thing. So that's going to be congruent to double, which is also A, to no markings, which is D, to single, which is C. Done. Okay, look at this next one. What do I have? Again, mark that reflexive piece. That's going to give me angle, side, angle, and angle, side, angle. Okay, so P, Q, R, T. Okay, so I should go back and say that I found I had congruency by angle, side, angle here, and also by angle, side, angle here. Now I'm going to do my statement again. My first triangle is going to be P or T. Since I don't have any sides marked, I'm going to go by the angles. So I have a not marked to one that, excuse me, I have a single to the R, not marked, to the double. I'm going to do the same thing for the other triangle. Start with your single, which is T. Go to the unmarked, which is Q, and then go to your double. And that's your statement. Okay, here comes another one. Mark this reflexive piece equal. It's a candidate for HL, but is it? I have a leg, which is the green I just marked, and the hypotenuse is right across from the right angle. So it is indeed HL. So let's label Z, Y, P, X. Okay, so I'm going to name my triangle. My first one I'm going to name Z, Y, X. And as I think about it, I went from unmarked to right angle to single. So I have to go unmarked, which is the P, right? Because it's a bigger of the two angles. Unmarked to right angle, so PX. And then this was ZYX to single, so PXY does it. So that would be my congruency statement. Okay, look at this next one. Vertical angles. You've got vertical angles. Remember, that's the other thing they're not going to mark for us. Make sure you're marking them. if the bottom one is a right angle, then the top one is going to be a right angle also. That makes us a candidate for HL, but let's check it. There's the hypotenuse, and then I have a leg. So that's going to be hypotenuse, leg, leg. So this is an HL. Okay, so let's label it because it's always good to practice. I'm going to say this is ABC. Notice that C is the whole vertex there. And then I'm going to make this D and F. Okay, if I name the first triangle, the right angle, and then down the double, and then across the triple, I've got to do the same thing. Right angle, down the double, across the triple. Okay, that's my congruency statement. Here comes another one. Looking at this, looks like I can get side, side, side. So by side, 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 I have congruency. So what do I know? I want to do a statement because this is a nice one to do. So I'm going to call this A, B, F, Q, or P. Okay, so triangle. ABF, remember it doesn't matter how you name the first one as long as you follow that pattern for the second one. So what did I do? I went down the double and then down the single. So I had to go double single. So it's going to be triangle Q, down the double takes me to P, across the single takes me to R. Done. Okay, last one on this page. Look at this, what do I have? I have angle and I have a sandwich side and I have angle, sandwich side. So this is angle, side, angle. So P, oops, sorry.
It's all good.
Yes, it is all good. This is PQR and this is ABC. Okay, so what do I have? I named the first triangle PQR. I was at the blank, went to the single angle, and then to the double. I want to be at the blank, which is B, down the single angle, which is C, and then to the double, which is A. And that's how I would name that. Okay, so look what we have left, just these. So let's keep going. What do I have? I am going to mark this as the reflexive side. That's going to give me side, side, side. So if I call this A, B, T, Z, and I name my first triangle ABT, then I went down the double and then down the triple. So I had to call the next one down the double and then down the triple, TZA. Okay, here comes another one. Mark the vertical angles. So I have to mark it with a double because I don't want to force it to be equal to the other angle. Okay, so what do I know now? I have angle, angle, side. And then can I get angle, angle, side here too? And yes, I can. So that's one of the other congruencies. So now I'm going to change my color and label. So I'm going to have angle, angle, side congruency. And I'm going to call this P, Q, R, S, Z. Okay, so my bottom triangle, I'm just going to call it Q, A, QR, Q, R, P. And that's congruent. Okay, so I went double single. So I've got to do double single. So that's going to be Q, Z, S. Okay. Equal sign. Okay. Let's go to the next one. We've got these two left. This is going to be side, angle, side, and side, angle, side. So I have side angle, side congruency. If I label my triangles, I can call this P, Q, R, T, V, W. Okay, so triangle PRQ, and then I went down the triple and then down the single. So that's going to be congruent to triangle TVW. Okay, last one. Vertical angles. Don't forget to mark them. Okay, what do I know? I know that I'm going to have side, angle, side. Side, angle, side. Side angle, side congruency. Then I'm going to label my corners T, V. I'm going to make this big guy W, X, and Y. Okay, so I name my triangle, my upper triangle to the left. Let me call that W. So that went to the vertical, and then through the triple, and then to the top. Whoops, sorry about that. Okay, and that's going to be congruent. Okay, so I had to start at the vertex. I then went to the triple, so that's going to be X, and then to Y. Okay? Okay, so that did it. So I'm going to ask you in class, even though it doesn't say so here, I'm going to say use letters if congruent, and then give me the statement. Okay, so that you can practice that. All right, exterior angle theorem, you've got to know that. Your isosceles triangle, know the words, know how the words impact the values, especially of the angles and side lengths. Here's more solving. This is a really good review. I would just go back over this. Remember, this is a problem because on the quiz, people didn't realize that M means equals, and you're going to have a value, and that if there's no markings on a line segment like MT, it's that they're asking you for the length. So go back over these things, listen to the strategies that I employed, and then use them yourself. I hope you found this helpful.